And welcome back. So, a few days ago, I did my death battle review, basically. Going over every death battle real quick and basically giving my take on, do I think they called it right or not? Now, remember, everything I do on this is my opinion. I'm no expert. I'm just like, I don't have the definitive answer. It's all speculatory and everything along those lines. But one of my viewers actually asked me also to do basically my thoughts on all the DMX, the Death Battle Exposition match. Exposition Masters. Or Expedition. Whatever. Exposition. That's what I'm trying to say. Exposition. The DMX fights. Or DBX fights. And I'm like, yeah, okay. The problem with that is, though, I had to wait because I actually had to watch them. I've actually never sat down and watched all these. Now, granted, they're only like, at the best, are maybe like 3 or 4 minutes. I think the longest one so far I've seen here is about 3 minutes and something seconds. Give me a second. I'm checking that right now. Let's see here. Yeah, no more than like 3 minutes long. And basically, these are the fights that they didn't want to actually do their research for. Though you can probably tell some research might have been put into them regardless. They just didn't want to actually do a full death battle. They didn't want to do a full video on that because some of them are pretty obvious. Excuse me. Oh, God. But you want the Soul Spartan asked the question. My thoughts on if I called them right. Now, let's be clear here. These are not death battles where they're doing the research and everything like that, where they actually did their research and said, oh, no, this is how it went down, this is how it should have gone down, la 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 la, or blah 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 blah, and because of this and this and this. No, this is just made them fight. That's it. Now, I will still give my take on whether or not I think that's how it would have gone down. So let's just go down the list, or up the list in this case. Master Chief versus Jango Fett. And by the way, obviously, spoilers. Yeah, that one went exactly the way I would have thought. There's no way Jango Fett could beat Master Chief. There's no way he could beat Master Chief. Even with a lightsaber, there's no way he'd beat Master Chief. Ronald McDonald versus Colonel Sanders. Okay. There's joke fights on here, too. This was a joke fight. And frankly, Ronald McDonald would beat the shit out of Colonel Sanders because Colonel Sanders is an old man and Ronald McDonald has always not. Amy Rose versus King Diddy from Sonic Hedgehog and Kirby. I don't know enough about King Diddy. I know Amy Rose was on Death Battle versus Ramona Flowers. It made, from what little I know, yeah, it made sense why he won. Should know also, I don't know a lot about some of these characters as opposed to the Death Battle where they actually had the research that I actually was able to analyze stuff. Sakura Haruno versus Rin Tosaka. Naruto versus Fate Stay Night. Sakura won that. Don't know enough about Fate Stay Night to really argue that point. So, yeah. Trunks versus Silver. The Hedgehog. Yeah, that fight went down exactly as I thought it would. Trunks would completely obliterate him. And he did. Ryu versus Lucario. Yeah, it was Ryu who won, and that made sense. Made complete sense. Even with a Mega Evolution, there's no way Lucario could beat Ryu in a fight. Ryu could easily just overpowered. Ryu punches buildings down, for God's sakes. Sasuke versus Hiei. Okay, this is a joke fight because they didn't give a winner. There was a draw. If you were to ask me who I actually think wins that fight, legitimately, I mean, you can ask. I could do that as a who would win. You can suggest it. If you're going to ask me right at this moment who I think wins the fight, I do think it's Sasuke. I think he just has more power to him, ultimately. Bruce Lee versus the World. That's another joke fight. Bruce Lee. There's no way Bruce Lee could beat Rock Lee. Because Rock Lee actually has superhuman powers, and Bruce Lee, by our standards, does. But let's not joke around. Let's cut the shit. No, he doesn't. Rock Lee would actually just completely end Jet Li, or Bruce Lee. It's the way it is. Jotaro versus Yu with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Persona. Now, I know a little bit about Jotaro because I think I had him in a Who Would Win at one point, and he was on Death Battle. I know nothing about Persona, the series, but from what I could tell, it does act a little bit like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where they have these individual avatars that are around them, and they basically help fight on their behalf, but they can fight on their own as well. Same with Jotaro. Ultimately, though, yeah, because Jotaro's time skip ability, Jotaro would win, and it makes sense why he did. Donald Trump versus Hillary. Another joke battle. If you're going to ask me who actually wins that fight, well, honestly, it would probably be Hillary. But just because Hillary probably has more connections to actually kill his ass. Terry Bogard versus John Taliban, King of Fighters versus Darkstalkers. Look, I don't know very much about these guys, but the little I do know, I probably would have gone Terry because, let's be clear, I would have gone Terry because they threw another character in that fight unfairly. That's why I would have gone with that. So I go with Terry. He was kicking his ass otherwise. Predator versus Prophet from Cyrus. Yeah, made sense ultimately. It was a good fight actually. But yeah, I think Cyrus, the Prophet probably would have won that fight. Iron Man versus Mega Man X. Okay, look, they were just using one version of Iron Man. So give Iron Man access to any of his other armors. Mega Man loses that fight completely. So yeah, I disagree with that one. Kenshin versus Zoro. Great matchup ultimately, but it's, look, I love, as a character, I prefer Kenshin, but it's Zoro. Feet wise and ability wise, Zoro just, I mean, as an actual true skilled swordsman, I probably would take Kenshin over him, but as an actual character and abilities tailored to a character, it is Zoro who wins in my opinion. Absolutely. Greninja versus Espio from Sonic Hedgehog. He looks like some sort of chameleon thing hedgehog. Turned invisible. Greninja won that. I agree with that ultimately. Link versus Meta Knight. I don't know enough about Meta Knight to really judge, but a little I can tell, I know of Meta Knight, I actually think Link probably would win. So I guess I'd call that wrong. Genji versus Raiden from Overwatch for Overwatch and Metal Gear. Yeah, actually, I can't argue with that. Because of Raiden's regenerative capabilities, I can't argue with that one. Guile versus Paul Phoenix, Street Fighter versus Tekken. Look, they're dudes that fight, so I can't judge. Raphael versus Wolverine. Look, if they had made Raphael win, I would have been pissed. Because, look, Ninja and Samurai have overpowered Wolverine before, but it's in massive groups usually. And if Wolverine can keep his calm, he can usually overpower them and all that stuff. And he's trained as a samurai and a ninja, so there's that. But Raph is the hothead of the group. Wolverine decimated his ass, and rightfully so. I've actually watched the Broly vs. Doomsday one prior to this. I had to be sure I'd watched the right one. And I do agree, at least, again, the interpretation of Broly that we got anyway. The original movie Broly. I agree, it was Doomsday who'd win that fight. Oh, God. Aegis versus Noel Vermilion. Persona versus Blaze Blue. Oh, shit. I'm trying to remember who actually won that fight. I think it was Noel. Noel won that fight. I know nothing about the characters, so okay, it was a good fight. Cloud versus Guts. That fight actually made sense to me. Made sense. Guts can't move his. Cloud can move his sword a lot faster due to its despite its size than Guts can. Guts is just more like though he's fast with it. Cloud just can speed blitz him. Sasuke versus Killua. Naruto versus Hunter x Hunter. And the Sasuke they used also was a really weak version of Sasuke. I don't know. I don't watch Hunter x Hunter, or I don't read it, so I know this character has electrical powers. Ultimately, yeah, I have to say it did make some sense though that why he'd win, particularly against the young Sasuke we had there. Mega Man versus Bomberman, I completely agree with that fight. The Mario and Luigi fight was a joke fight because there was no win. Any fight that ultimately didn't have a winner was a joke fight. Zero versus Strider. I think because Zero's a machine, I could accept the ending of that fight. Akuma versus Iron Fist. That's one I actually would have loved to have actually seen them do. Ultimately, Akuma won, and what I know from Akuma versus what I know from Iron Fist, yeah, ultimately that makes sense. Akuma's just more brutal. Ken versus Blaziken, that was just a weird one. But yeah, okay. I won't argue it because it's just a weird one. Samus versus Master Chief. Okay, I've done this one. It wasn't one of my better who wins, I'll admit that. But I've done this one. So if you want to see my actual thoughts on that, go watch the video. It's in the playlist. But I think Master Chief I think can just take far more damage than Samus can, ultimately. And just dish out more damage. Samus is powerful and great, but and more agile. We'll say that she's more agile than he is, but ultimately, nah. We Fit Trainer versus Dasani from Street Fighter. Like, what the hell was this fight supposed to? really? Anyway, he won, and rightfully so. Magneto versus... From just watching the fight go down, this is one of the best. And also the Vegeta versus Zod one was fantastic to watch. In terms of who would win, I think Magneto would probably win earlier on. Just because I think he'd crush his life support system and just, but Vader was to sustain himself with the Force for a little bit. So, in that regard, yeah, I can't necessarily argue with how it went down then. It was a good fight, ultimately. I really liked that one. And the Zod versus Vegeta is like, that's my son! And just beats the living shit out of Zod. And you know what? Yeah. Zod's, first off, not as powerful as Superman. But ultimately, Vegeta would probably just beat the shit out of Zod. Absolutely. Alucard versus Dimitri. Oh, crap. Who ultimately won that fight? It was Alucard. Alucard won. And because he has a cross on him, it actually made sense why he won. So, yeah, I agree with that one. Noctis versus 2B. 2B lost. I know that. I don't know anything about these characters. What is Nier? N-I-E-R. The series it came from. I have no idea what that is. Kratos versus Dante. That one I don't know about. I really don't know about that one because Kratos couldn't take Spawn on when they fought, and it made sense, honestly, because Spawn had little abilities that could work off of Kratos. But Dante just got weapons. Yeah, he's got the Tricker, and he got plenty of weapons, sure. But are they enough to really take on Kratos? Kratos physically, I think, just completely overpowers Dante. Generation-wise, though, Dante has that over him, but with the Blade of Olympus, he'd probably counteract that. I don't know. I really don't know with that one. That one I'm iffy on. I might lean towards Kratos, I'm going to be honest. But at the same time, Dante's a bit more laid back, whereas Kratos is just, blinded by rage. So, I don't know. That one I might hold against some contention. Captain Falcon versus Beautiful Joe. They both knocked each other out, so ultimately it didn't result in anything. Goku Black versus Black Adam. Yeah, I actually accept that fight. That was a good fight, too. Gambit versus Taskmaster. Yeah, these guys actually exist in the same continuity. They're in the same world, on that one. So I think they may have even fought before. Taskmaster winning is no surprise on that one. Not a surprise at all. Lara Croft versus Jill Valentine. The only reason she lost is because you had zombies in there. I think that's actually the only reason Lara lost. So, take the zombies out. I think Lara Croft actually wins. Krillin versus Tien and versus Yamcha. Krillin won. Completely agree with that. He's the strongest of the three. Chun-Li versus Tifa Lockhart. I believe Chun-Li won that, if I'm not mistaken. And, yeah, it made sense. She's just the more skilled fighter. Thor versus 100 Pikachu was a joke fight, but a fun one. And just to see him just basically blender a bunch of Pikachus. Hulk versus Juggernaut. That's one that has no definite answer, but in a short-term fight, we've seen the Hulk actually get the better of Juggernaut more than Juggernaut's gotten the better of him. So, yeah. Blade versus Hellboy. Made sense why Hellboy won. Absolutely. He's just physically tougher. And, it's just the way it goes down. Though, if you notice that his big hand, the stone hand, kept rotating in that fight. Watch it again. Luffy versus Mr. Fantastic. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, Luffy loses to Mr. Fantastic. He has theoretically more abilities, but Mr. Fantastic can easily outsmart his idiot ass. And just, throw him into the water or something like that. Or, just outsmart. Or just reason him out of it. Sorry, no. And frankly, blunt force trauma that's all Luffy has is blunt force trauma. Won't do much against Mr. Fantastic. So, yeah. Daredevil versus Kenshi from Mortal Kombat. Kenshi is essentially an upgraded version of Daredevil because he can levitate shit. So, yeah, made sense why he lost. Why Kenshi won. Domino versus Harley Quinn. Domino would beat Harley Quinn. Let's be clear. Her ability to manipulate probability and luck would just ultimately give her the win. Not in every situation, but against someone like Harley Quinn, yeah, it would. A comment from a comic got killed versus Kula from Hunter x Hunter. I believe he won, didn't he? Though I find it impossible to believe she couldn't get one nick on him. Not one nick with her sword. Oh, well. Yoshi versus Pac-Man. Pac-Man ended up killing Yoshi. Look, that's a weird one. I can't really judge that one, per se. Natsu versus Iceman. I mean, if I were to say, sure, Pac-Man won. I don't really have that. And that's basically it. If I don't really have an opinion, I don't have a problem with it. Natsu versus Iceman. Now, if they had used true full power Natsu, I think Iceman would have lost. But the fact is they didn't, and Iceman won. And Iceman's dealt with fire users before, so Iceman won that without too much regard. Amy Rose from Sonic the Hedgehog versus Sakura. I believe Sakura. No, wait. Did Sakura win that? Yeah, I believe Sakura won that. I believe. One second. Let me double check that real quick. Did she win that? Put on the mute. There we go. So don't get flagged by anyone. So let's see here. Did Sakura win that fight? I think she won that fight. I pretty much watched all of these in a day. So some of them have kind of blurred in my mind just a little bit. Let's see here. Alright, where's the final bit of that? Alright, there's where the fight more or less ends. Yeah, Sakura Sakura ended the fight with one punch. And yeah, it made sense. Jury from the cannibalistic snake lady from Mortal Kombat versus Mila. Jury won. I don't know enough about either of them to really judge that. Virgil versus Hakumen. I don't know who Hakumen is, but he's a badass looking character. And he won, and you know what? I'm okay with that. Chi versus Karen. I believe Chi won? Shit, I can't remember that one either. Again, we're talking about like characters that I don't even really know a lot about. Let's see here. Yeah, it was Chi won, whoever that is. I have no idea who that is. The Burning Gundam versus Thunder Megazord. I believe that was the Burning Gundam that won. If I'm not mistaken, Burning Gundam won that fight. And it made sense. They were roughly equal, the same size, because the Thunder Megazord is smaller than the other Megazords. Batman versus Scorpion. I will say it was unfair on Batman's part because they took the fight to hell where the Scorpion will just get stronger and stronger. So, but again, this isn't something where it's an even playing ground. It's just death battle exhibition matches. So, yeah, unfortunately, it makes sense. Batman seems to get a bit of a shaft in these fights, doesn't he? Sasuke versus Ichigo. Okay. Again, they're only using they're using Sasuke from what I can tell before he got his before he got Mangekyo, and they're using Ichigo right around the time I believe he got his Bankai, if I'm not mistaken, or even prior to that, from what I can tell, if I remember correctly. And basically, they Ichigo got caught in a genjutsu, more or less. So got caught in an illusion. So hold on, let me just check this real quick. Then he went Bankai. So yeah, this is pretty much what they're doing is they're using Ichigo from the Soul Invasion of the Soul Society arc, Rescue Rukia arc. I'm sorry, I really that's really just no. Stop. First off, they're not using the strongest version of Sasuke they can, nor are they using the strongest version of Ichigo they can. Sasuke is I contend the Genjutsu has no effect on Ichigo because he's got both freaking Zangetsu in him and the Hollow, even just in that form. Then you go up to like the last arc, and he's well beyond that. Illusions just wouldn't freaking work on him, at least not in that level. So yeah, no, I'm calling bullshit on that fight. That one I'll call bullshit on. Wolverine versus 100 Barakas. Again, that's a joke. Wolverine blundered them. Alucard versus Dio Brando from JoJo. I'll admit, I would have thought Dio actually would have won that fight, but the problem with that is Alucard's regeneration. I think is just higher grade regeneration than even Dio's is. So yeah, and he can just keep coming, whereas Dio does tire out after a while. So yeah, I mean Alucard does too, but in a different capacity. Ultimately, yeah, I actually don't have a problem with that. The Black Cat versus Catwoman fight made sense. Black Cat is actually just physically tougher than Catwoman. Ryu versus Liu Kang. I believe it was Ryu who won that fight, didn't he? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no, he won that fight. And then Bendy. I don't even know who Bendy versus Cup is, but Bendy won. I guess he's a guy made of ink. So that was fun. That was kind of creepy, just like So yeah, that's my thoughts on Deathbattle Exhibition. There is the 1 minute melees as well. I might do that later in the week just to give my takes. There's only like 30 of them, which will give me much less, which means I'll spend a lot less time doing it. But yeah. Until then, though, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Idea for who would win, Star Wars, Superhero Magic, what if, anything I do on the channel, put that in the comments below. Let me know. I'll get to that at some point. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.